What is the secret to unlocking your full potential? What makes your idols any different than you? How do you become the person you've always wanted to be in life? This is where you get all of your questions answered. My name is Justin Shank, and I sit down with some of the most epic individuals who are changing the world with their actions in business and in life. We discuss how they did it, why they pushed themselves, and more importantly, how they were able to focus on continuous growth to achieve their dreams. Welcome to the Growth Now movement. This week, I sit down with Dan Long. You guys may recognize Dan or his name because it's been mentioned on this podcast quite a few times. One, when I had Joel Marion on the show, we talked about him because him and Joel co-host the incredible podcast Born to Impact, which I also know that you guys have heard me talk about on this show and also have heard me post or seen me post on social media about. And, you know, Dan was the guy, when he walked into the room for them to interview me for that podcast, he blew me away. His energy was big and strong and powerful and positive and loving. And immediately I was like, bro, I got to get you on the show. And you're going to hear in this episode why that's the case. You see, Dan years ago developed something called kill mode. And that sounds violent and aggressive, but it's the exact opposite. It's about you pushing yourself beyond your limits and beyond the boundaries in which you've created for yourself. When you feel like you need to give up, you switch on kill mode to reach your goals and go to the next level. You know, this mindset that Dan has created for his clients, his friends, and everybody else who knows him has really kind of changed the game, not only for him and his business, but for also the people that works with him. I absolutely loved this conversation. We talked about mindset. We talked about overcoming adversity. We talked about creating the life that you truly want by switching into kill mode, and I think you guys are going to love it as well. Now, before we get to that episode, I want to remind you guys that Growth Now Movement Live is not too far away. So you want to grab your tickets at gnmlive.com. Last week, we just announced Natalie Jill as one of the amazing keynote speakers, and I know she's going to blow you away. So come join us. Head over to gnmlive.com, grab your tickets, and we will see you guys there. Now, without further ado, let's get into the episode with Dan Long. Dan, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, I'm super pumped to be here. Thanks so much, man, for having me on. And I am super pumped also to be able to help some people out there, maybe if it may be through anything, through maybe their career, maybe through family, maybe through some hard times of where you just need a little smile to put on your face. I'm pumped, man. I'm ready to be here, and I'm ready, super ready to get someone out there fired up.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, and anybody who listened to my Born to Impact episode, you know, when I was on your show, you and Joel, they know you. They're like, I know that they were sitting there because we talked about you coming on the show, and I know they're sitting there like, when is Kill Mode getting on Growth Now Movement? Because we talked about it on your show, and so I'm excited about the conversation because, you know, and I said this to you earlier, you walked into the room, and it was almost like instantaneous of like, I need to be friends with this guy. I need this guy on my show because your energy and the way you carry yourself and the way that you project and give is amazing. And I know that we're going to get that through this podcast and everybody listening, Dan. But why don't we just take a couple minutes now and just explain to my audience, who is Dan Kill Mode Long and where did this all come from?
Okay. So, well, let's first start with Kill Mode. Kill Mode came from, I used to be a long distance runner when I was 12 years old. Used to run 9 miles a day, believe it or not. My big muscular butt was working. Really, really loving the fact that sports, just what it did for my mind was really powerful. And so my dad used to let me allow to run only around the block. And so I'd run out there around the block. I had to do 24 laps to make my total amount of 9 miles. Now, you can only imagine 24 laps, seeing the same person watering the lawn, the dog's barking at you, you know, and back then, so everybody knows, because I'm almost 47, you didn't run with one of those Walkmans that was so heavy because we didn't have radio that you could just plug in your ears and make it very simple. So, you know, I'm like, man, my mind is going faster than my body is going. So my mind was always constantly playing tricks on me on the last half of everything that I was doing for my running regimen. So I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm over this. The first half of this, my first 12 laps, I'm just going to run on autopilot. The birds are chirping, you know, the dogs are barking, the butterflies are flying, and I'm just going to do my norm. And I'm going to go out here like I'm on autopilot. Then for my next half, the next 12, I'm going to let all the adrenaline kick in, all the fatigue that I'm feeling in my body now has to talk to my brain and tell it to give an all-out max effort for the last half of whatever it is I'm doing. And at the time, it was for running. So I said, I'm going to call this kill mode. I was 12 years old.
I was going to say, like, that, first of all, that mindset as a 12-year-old, and then to smack it with a kill mode, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, thank you, man. So you know what? That's where kill mode came from. And honestly, I didn't look at it as marketing. I didn't look at it as my name. I just looked at it as something that I used that was powerful. And for all the listeners that are listening right now, this is something you can use in life. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're taking a test. It doesn't matter if you are out trying to execute something at your job. If you're out there trying to make $1 million, whatever it is, you have to realize it's a mental game. Everything is a mental game. Your strongest tool in the shed is your brain. If you can skew your brain to work in your favor and to literally make your brain understand, I can give more on the second half. And listen, I used that when I became a personal trainer later in life. I used that. And so then that became more or less kind of a brand, because people started realizing, wow, that's kill mode. Oh, that's kill mode. So I'd use this tactic in my training for myself, but then I started using it on clients, and the results went through the roof. I mean, Justin, you can only imagine. You and I are in the gym, and you look at me, you've never known me, and you said, hey, you mind spotting me? And here you are, you're on the bench, and you want one more rep, right? You just want that one rep. But I come over, and I teach you kill mode, and I tell you how you're going to get two. It happens every single time. You get more out of life by using this total mindset versus just going into life as the norm. Does it make sense?
Yeah, total sense. And I love that. And it's so true. It's funny because before I hopped on a call with you, I was doing a little bit of research, and I found this YouTube video, and you were doing like leg extensions in the inverted whatever. I don't even know the terms that you were using. And you literally, like, you see the kill mode, like, and It was like halfway through, you're like kill mode, and you just step it up a notch. And I was like, that simple thing, as far as like, okay, kill mode, you can, and you mentioned you can take it into your pretty much everything you do in your life. Right. And so right. I was just talking with a good friend of mine, Andre Young, who's been on the show a couple times. And we were talking about how life seasons, right? Because he's like, I just finished my second book. I just finished this, and this. And he's like, and I need to take a breather. And I was like, you just got out of kill mode and you're rewarding yourself by relaxing. Right.
Exactly.
And so how do you kind of take that now into all aspects of your life? Because you run this very successful business, you're traveling, you got family, you're still killing it. So how have you used that in other areas of your life?
Now let me just say to people, it can be, one of those things where you have to manage it. You cannot sit out here and be in kill mode for every dang thing.
Right.
Because if you are, it's all on all the time. And that's just, that can get you in trouble. And I know this for my own sake, because I've actually been that guy. And so, it's something that you have to manage. You have to know when to turn it off. You have to know when to turn it on. Right. And how has it helped me? I mean, tremendously. I mean, through my faith, it's got me to be all in with God instead of being half in. I mean, literally in my life, there's been a lot of times where I wasn't leaning on my faith and I wasn't following the word of God, and I needed to be that guy more. And I had to learn that the hard way. And then there's times where, here I am in business where I want to help as many people as possible before I leave this planet, and I have to constantly have that mindset that that's what it's about. It's not all about dollars, right? So it's keeping the mindset of pushing hard into helping as many people as possible and giving back, right? We do charity stuff. We love working with the children with cancer here locally in the Tampa Bay area. Matter of fact, this coming Christmas, we're sending 25 children that will be handpicked by the organization, 25 adults, which is one parent per child, luxury bus ride to Disney's Very Merry Christmas, all paid for, tickets to get in. We'll sit in Tony's Town Square together and break bread, go in, get characters to sign, autographs for them, backdoor VIP. They all get gift cards for the children. And it's an amazing event, right? So the kill mode goes, and it's funny because you know what, Justin? Here's what's awesome. Those kids beg me for kill mode shirts. Okay? They freaking beg me for kill mode shirts. And I've created a new one this year that's called Kill Mode Strong. And I actually have one on right now. And that whole purpose of that, it's like, again, kill mode strong. What is it? Kill mode's all about getting more out of life. I don't care what it is, right? Here's these kids that, they're going in for shots. They're going in for chemotherapy. They're going in for treatments that no kid should have to endure, but they are. And they're fighting the fight. As you know, man, there's nobody stronger than these resilient kids that don't deserve to have what they have. And to see them fighting through that, they are literally kill mode strong. So I created this new shirt for people to donate because people were asking me from the podcast. And so I just let this bleed into everything that I do in life. And honestly, I mean, that's how I've gotten where I'm at in business. Because, 10 years ago, I didn't have a dollar. I fought for custody of my kids, spent every dollar I had, and it was all about them and their safety and what was best for them. Little did I know that God was going to bless me with this amazing wife that I have today that I thought I'd never remarry. We've been together now 12 years, married for 9. And and it all synergizes not about what it is that we can get. It's all about how can I get more to help others. And that's what it's all about. And I think if anyone can take away something out there right now from what I'm saying is just don't focus on yourself. Okay. Focus on helping the world as much as possible by adding as much value as you can in whatever way that God gave you the gift. Because you're going to have a gift, if not many gifts. It's your job to present what those gifts are and unwrap them and share them with the world. And so that's a big part of what I use, Justin, and where I'm at today. And so a little more about Dan Long, I'll let you know. In the past, let's see, I got 10 years as a master baker, bro. So I can make gourmet desserts. I made them for.
I didn't know this about you.
No. So from 20 to 30 years old, I actually ran a dessert manufacturing plant. I became a master at baking within 4 years. I had a gentleman that taught me all the ropes. God bless his soul, Chuck Egolf. He's dead and gone today. But he actually baked for President Nixon in the White House and also was the main guy for Pillsbury. Wow. So I spent every day, every single day, just next to this guy, just learning the business. And so I used to always love to cook and I love to bake. And so I took on the harder of the two. Chefs out there, I love you, but baking is very, very difficult. So I took the harder one on first, which was baking. And I ended up running this company for 10 years. And I had 66 employees and we made 10,000 gourmet hand desserts, handmade a week.
Wow.
Okay. So that's when it becomes a job. See, I got into something thinking it was a passion. That's a whole nother subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I turned it into a job. And by the time I left, I was miserable. So, and
burnt out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And my wife and I have been together a little over 12 years. And so everyone knows my wife is Greek and Italian. Okay. She doesn't believe I can bake because I've never baked once. I'm so burned out. I'm done. I'm absolutely done. So I did that for 10 years. And then let's see, I was a restaurateur for 8.5. Was a sweat equity partner with one of my buddies that we did some stuff together. And then I joined in with the Outback Corporation. And that was before I had to come to this crossroads of where, okay, I'm going to go through this divorce I did not know and was not planned to be in the middle of.
Right.
And I'm going to fight for my custody of my kids, but what am I going to do? I'm working 80 hours in the restaurant. Everybody who's in the restaurant industry knows what I'm talking about. Like 80 hours inside the restaurant. Okay, what am I going to do? And so I soul searched, and the people used to tell me, man, what do you do for workout? What do you do for nutrition? Would you mind writing me a plan? And so I never looked at this business until it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, the people are telling me. So I need to get into this industry and I need to go full force. So I did. And man, the rest is history. My business blew up. And here I'm sitting on a podcast with Justin Shank talking about why and when and how you can use kill mode in your life, right? Because I want everyone out there to live the life they were born to live. I want everyone out there to realize you have more to give. You really do. You have so much more to give. And the potential of someone sitting on a couch versus the potential of getting off that couch and just doing something is that simple. It's that easy, but it's all in the mind. And that's really where it starts, Justin.
Yeah. I love the fact that you were like, well, I was first of all, a baker with 6-pack abs, I'm sure, which just doesn't exist. But with that being said, like, I love that you were like, I thought this was my passion and I made it a job, but when you got into fitness, clearly it was a passion. If you were working in the restaurant business, but people were asking you about your workouts and not your recipes, clearly that was your true passion, right? And so how did you not end up burning yourself out on that and make that a job? And how did you keep that as a passion? Because I think so many of us take this thing that was our passion, we do burn ourselves out.
So you mean the personal training business, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great question. And let me dig deep into my emotions with this, because I remember, it was like yesterday, I remember personal training. And so everyone knows, I started giving away free sessions. And within 1 year, I get called to the front desk, because I was inside a facility where we were independent contracted. And so I didn't have a training company inside the business. It was just me. There was no picture of me on the wall. There was no business cards. It was just me. And I called it the dance floor, where you would see me visible training these people. And it went from free sessions to, within 1 year, me training professional athletes like Robinson Cano, a $600 million player that's managed by Jay-Z. Okay. Wow. So, I mean, I had all walks of life you can imagine, and they're all amazing. And so here's the thing, right? When you start, it's just like in the bakery, you go from 0 to 10,000 desserts a week. Okay. Personal training, you go from 0 clients to, I had 90 booked hours when I met my best friend that I do the podcast with today on Born to Impact, Joel Marion. Okay. Wow. Here's the thing. At 90 hours, literally, if you're doing something that you love so much, because in the bakery, I was working for someone else. I've always felt like I should have owned the business because I did everything and he did nothing. Okay. And granted, I know there's a lot of people who think like that about your boss, but he really did nothing. Okay. It'd be different if he was just doing anything with the deals or whatever. No, the business is gone today, by the way. That business is gone. And I had the writing on the wall and I saw it. And so how do you keep from that happening into something that you say is a passion? Well, I can tell you, because firsthand, this was the true passion of where I belonged, because I'm a people person. I love fitness. I love the transformation of the body and the mind. I love getting more out of someone who they didn't believe they could get out of their own selves, because I believe in people more than they believe in themselves. And if you're ready, I can show you how to use that, right? But if you're not ready, it's okay. I still love you, but I need to go to someone who is. So this is what happened with my personal training business. And so here I am at 90 hours. Little did I know that I was actually at a point where it could be a breaking point in my business if I didn't either grow, right? Because you're one human being. Yeah. You can only do so much in a day. And for me, the sessions are all about Disney World. And so I don't care if it's Monday or Thursday afternoon or Sunday. If we're doing a session, it has to be just like Monday morning at 5 a.m. So to answer that question, it would have to be that you have to just love it so much, and you have to pivot, and you've got to be able to change with the times so that you can still create the happiness within what it is that you're doing without overwhelming yourself to a point where it becomes a job. So for me, I harnessed the internet to be able to help more people around the world, still do what I love, and not have to be 90 hours deep trying to perform like a machine every single day. Now, do I miss some of that? I do. Do I miss not having freedom? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you know what? Every single one of my clients are happy for me. Every single one of my clients are doing great that I had back in the day. Every single one of those people, they stay in touch with me. They're all excited. And that's what it's really all about. See, it wasn't about them. It was about us as a team. And so for me, that's how I was able to take this passion and still to this day, because as you know, Justin, the internet changes constantly. Okay.
Right.
For me to get into these customers' inboxes, it's become more difficult. So I have to constantly be molding with those times. And still, I love helping people. So it's really synergized all around that. It's one of the reasons why it's led into a podcast today and all these different things that we're doing. But I tell you, happiness is freedom. And I don't care what it is you're doing. If you have freedom to do what you want, when you want, and the money to do it, that's absolute happiness.
Dude, I love it.
You know, because you can travel. And you're talking to a guy that's, turning 47 years old that looks at life a little different. I learned a little bit from Chuck. And I want to share that with your listeners. I've had numerous people that I've had as mentors in my day that I was actually a simple question. I want to leave people with this on this note, okay? And this is me sharing collectively 35 years of knowledge with everyone listening right now. So please take this to heart. And these people had to go through life to learn what it is that I'm about to tell you, okay? Chuck Egolf, baked for the president, worked for Pillsbury, very, very highly respected in the industry. I said to him, Chuck, if you could go back and change anything, what would it be? And he looked at me and he goes, boy, because I'm like his son. He said, boy, I would have never worked so much and I would have spent more time with my family. Now, this is a man that's in his 70s that passed away not shortly after that, and he missed out on all of that. Okay, I took that to heart. There's one. Okay, I wear that like a badge on my arm because literally for me to be told that's God talking to me through him. Okay, second person. I'm sure everybody out there knows the Ritz-Carlton hotels. Okay,
I'm familiar.
Okay, Hort Schultz. We had him on the podcast. I asked him the same exact question. This is a man who was diagnosed cancer, stage 4 cancer, 25 years before I talked to him. He was told he was going to die, okay? I asked him the same exact question. I said, Hortz, what an amazing conversation. If we can go back and change anything, what would you change? And he said, that's an amazing question. And he goes, there's 2 things. He said, one, and again, this is a man who has built an empire as nothing but known from excellence, because if you walk into a Ritz-Carlton, that culture was created by him. And that's amazingly respectful, right? So I said to him, that question. He says, you know what, amazing question. Here's what I would have done different. He said, one, I would have never waited as long as I did to get on my hands and knees and get close to God when I had stage 4 cancer.
Wow.
He said, 2, I would have never waited as long as I did to love my wife the way that I love her today. Now, this is, again, another individual that comes in your life. You ask this serious question to them, and they shoot you straight an amazing answer. Are you going to let this pass by? I'm not. I'm going to literally listen to these guys and these ladies and say, okay, how can I make myself a better person? When I lost my brother when he was 38 years old, died from obesity / heart attack, just a very bad situation. I said, how can I make myself a better person from this? There's things I need to learn from that, right? So I made a product in his honor, and literally he's in my VSL because I don't want people to die from something that you don't have to die from. So anyways, I just want people to understand, like, what is happiness? And for me, it is to be able to do what I want when I want and be able to afford to do it. That is happiness. Besides health, don't get me wrong, health's always number one. You gotta be healthy, otherwise you can't even enjoy it. But I hope someone can take that away from right now, that conversation, and just say to themselves, am I doing that? Am I living that way? Am I living the life I was born to live? Or am I just spinning my wheels in a revolving door?
Dude, that's so powerful because, obviously now doing the podcast, and I've been doing this for 3.5 years, these conversations are the greatest gift we can ask for.
Yes.
Like now I just mentioned a conversation I had with Andre yesterday. So I have conversations that are pretty deep all the time. But these are just, when you're on the podcast, they're so poignant. And I don't know if I would be out with a buddy and be like, if you could go back and change anything, what would it be? But it gives us the opportunity to learn everything. And there's 2 types of people, right? One, like you, who's going to go, I need to pay attention to this. This is clearly a resonating message that's happening over and over and over again. Then there's the other people that go, oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks for the quote that I could slap up with the internet, and run from there. And so what makes you that person? Because like I look at your trajectory of life, you were constantly pivoting, you were constantly growing. You're now looking constantly, okay, how do I get in the inbox? How do I have them open my emails? How do I do that? So you're constantly evolving and learning. What was it about your life that made you that person?
You know what, man? I think it was, and there's going to be people out there that can have a very harder scenario than I did. Like we've had on some amazing guests that I didn't live in foster homes. My parents were together until I was 11. But then it was really drastic on me through a divorce with my mom and dad that I never wanted for myself and my kids. And there was all these traumatic things that I think that as a young kid, because my father was, 30 years on the police department, brought his badge home with him, never ever put the badge away. It was like very, like I couldn't do anything. Just a very, very difficult time in childhood. I think that where it originally stems from. Now, my mom never having that, my dad never having that, and telling me that that was the only way that you were successful in life, because I am a little older, and being told that you go to a career and you put 30 years in and then you retire from that, and that's life. And that's just the way it's going to be, and that's the way it's going to go. And granted, we have the internet to thank for so many changes, but I think that proving my father wrong because I didn't go to college. I just was not the kid that wanted to sit in a classroom and waste a professor's time. I wanted to learn. Yeah. I wanted to learn it, and I went to school, hard knocks, basically out trial and error and just hustling. And I've always been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I never realized it until later on started realizing what I was doing. I was selling now and laters in school. And, I was hustling bags of that. I was mowing lawns for money. I was doing garage sales, making candies, and all these different things I was doing just to make dollars. So I guess in my spirit, I've always had that entrepreneur side of myself and that drive. I don't know that I believed in myself as much as I did later on in life, which I think came with just failure after failure after failure. But it's funny. You're the only one that's ever asked me this question. So you got me digging deep here. I really truly believe that the childhood, watching my family, knowing that you can have more, do more, you can impact more people, and always loving that about myself. Always feeling like that feeling of when you give someone something as a gift. I don't care if it's new or used or old, but you give it to them and you see them light up, no matter what it is. It doesn't even have to be tangible. It could be a hug.
Yeah.
It could just be, have an amazing day. Let's try that inside the grocery store line. You won't even believe how people will react, because people don't do enough of that, right? Whatever it is to do, I just love that. And God's given me that gift inside me internally, where I feel really, really good and I feel great when I'm doing that. When I don't do that, I feel unfulfilled. That's one of the great things, you're right, about these podcasts, that we're talking to great people that have done amazing things, that continue to keep doing amazing things on our planet, and giving back, and constantly not just focusing on the dollar, focusing on more of how can I add the value to this planet, and then everything just rewards you. That's just the way it works, right? Yeah. So for me, I've always been a rebel. I've always been someone who knew that there was a smarter and easier way than just always the hard way, even though there still is the hard way on a lot of things I'm learning today. But that's because I'm venturing into new grounds, right? And when you do that, that's just part of life. But
right.
You know what, man? I honestly, truly believe it's just been embedded in me since a kid. And I really just – I feel like everything I went through and all those trials and tribulations of being young – I've been on my own since I was 18 years old. Didn't even finish high school. I went back and finished later on because I was mad at myself. But it was that bad in my household where I had to leave home. And I felt like I needed to go rough this, and I needed to go figure this out. And I mean, boy, it was roughing it because I had no money. And I've never been home since. And that was always a voucher that I said to myself, I'm never, ever giving you some free pass to go back home. You're going to go figure this out. And I think all of that, man, it really made me realize the value of freedom, because there's no one in my family that had it. Nobody. There's not one person in my family or my wife's family that had the freedom to be able to do what they want, when they want, and afford it. Nobody. And so I just wanted to be that guy. It kind of went from chasing $1 million to understanding, no, I'm just going to chase being able to live my life the best the way I want to live it. And man, I tell you, it's an amazing feeling to wake up. You control your own destiny. If you fail, it's on you. If you triumph, it's on you. You get to celebrate and you move on. But it's an amazing feeling to be able to know you're doing that while you're still helping a lot of people around the world, man. So it's a big motivator for me.
That's huge, man. So I want to flip the script on you really quick and ask you, like, if you could go back, and I know you've got plenty of life left and you asked some older gentlemen this question, but if you could go back and change anything, what would it be?
Wow. I've never had anybody flip that on me. That's awesome. Good job, Justin. Let me think here. I would say I would have been a lot smarter on choosing my lifelong partner.
Wow.
Because if you knew what I know and you're in my head and in my emotions, I feel, and I cannot say it's a waste, because there's no, God puts us through what we do to get to where we're at for a reason. And I know that now, but I just felt like probably about 20 years of my life was not wasted, but definitely not in a place of happiness, and I blame it on myself. I literally, because if I knew today what I would have known back then, I would have never done what I did the way I did it. And so I would have to say I would be number one, I would have waited till I was at least 30 years old to find a lifelong partner. All right. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm going to confess what most men won't ever say. I didn't even know what I wanted until I was 28.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care what anybody says. You think you know what you want when you're 21, 25. No, I got a daughter, 21. There's no way. Okay. I was 28.
Dude, I'm 35 and I'm just trying to figure this stuff out. Like, I couldn't even imagine having a kid at 21.
Right. And so, honestly, I have to speak from my experience, man. That would be one that I would definitely say I would have waited, and I would have just been more choosy on my lifelong partner, like I have what I have today, because it's a commitment. It's a job. It's everything. It's all of that in a handbasket. The hardest thing you're going to do is get into a relationship with someone and try to make it work for the rest of your life. And if that's not what you want, then don't do it. Don't have kids, don't put families through it. I just think that one there, Justin, probably would be my number one for someone, I hope, listening out there. I can help you because, I was divorced twice before this marriage, and they were both really brutal. And I don't sit here and blame myself because, I know I worked a lot. And that's one of the things with freedom that gives couples a little more to be able to enjoy each other instead of just trying to pay the bills and get by another day and hardly see each other because your jobs don't jive with the hours. And, life is difficult. And then you throw in a relationship, and then both of you need love and both of you need time for each other. And my wife and I have a date night. We never had date nights in the past. There's like all these different things that I know today of why we're strong and having faith and leaning on God and the person in our church and all these things that we do. It's like, that's number one for me, brother. That's definitely number one. Now, if you wait another 10, 15, 20 more years, I'll give you another one.
And that's exactly the point, right? So we're always evolving. And when you think about 21-year-old Dan or 21-year-old Justin, we're still trying to figure out us. Yeah. We're still trying to figure out what makes us happy. So at that young age, to get into such a committed relationship like marriage, you're now trying to figure out and navigate how to make somebody else happy when you haven't figured out how to make yourself happy. And it's like this weird thing. Like, I was in a long-term relationship from 21 to 27. It was a 6-year relationship. And then I was engaged to somebody else by 29. And it became like this crazy whirlwind of life. And like, I'm grateful for the fact that I never got married to either of those people because of what has happened in my life after that. Because if I ended up getting married, all my life wouldn't have evolved and I wouldn't have become the man I am today. It took me to be 30 years old. Like that's a good mark. That 30 is a good mark. It took me to that age to be like, okay, now I know my path and then I can navigate the rest,
Right. And I truly believe that for your partner also. I don't care if you're female or male. You don't really know what you want until you're a little bit older, unless you're following the traits of your mom and dad.
Right.
And if you're following that, you believe that that's the way, well, then that's what you believe in and that's what you'll do. Right. So, and times today are so different than times from the past. And you know what? I hate to say it, 30 years old. It's like, that's the truth. The truth is really, and listen, I had my first kid at 30 and I'm actually grateful for that, even though my stepdaughter's 21 and my wife is 3 years younger than me. But, I have this first kid. I'm 30 years old, and I was so ready. And listen, I'm not old. My kids now are turning 15 and 14, and here I am, 46, turning 47. I'm not old, and right. I'm still able to play with my kids. I'm still able. If anything, I'll run them in the dirt. Okay? Seriously,
you're playing soccer with them halfway through the game. You're just like, kill mode. And the kids start crying.
Exactly. They know. I'm like, don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions. And if we're going to go out here, we're going to give more All right. Cause you guys know you got it in you. So they always know that. I'm always pushing them.
I love it. I love it, man. And so I think I already know the answer to this question because a lot of what we talked about, but one question I ask every single person on my show it's a two-parter. So the first part is, what's your definition of success? And the second part is, what are 3 things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself?
All right. So first question is, what is the definition of success for me? Success for me, and I don't want to sound cliche, but it'll just be more of, for me, success is more of doing what I just said, being able to do what you want, when you want, and be able to afford it, right? And then, of course, that success is also because your body is flourishing, meaning you're taking care of yourself and you're feeling like you're a machine, which at times, there's going to be challenges. I'm having a challenge with my back right now. Okay, so what? But being able to live that life, because, there's people who I'm looking at that successfully, they may have made millions of dollars, but guess what? They can't enjoy it.
Right.
So what is that? Is that success? No, you're not measuring it by the banking account. To me, success is, one, you need to be helping people in some way, shape, or form, adding value to the world, and then allowing that to bring that freedom, bring that capability to do it when you want it and wherever you want it, and be able to afford that because it just will come, right? So success for me is, capital freedom, capital FREEDOM, and being able to do all what you want, when you want, and how you want to do it. It's literally, I'm not saying you can't do that working for someone else. You can. Okay. In your world, that can be the best you that's living that happy life, but always knowing that, you are working for someone and that's fine, but is that a security blanket? So is success that, or is it you are the security blanket and you create that for yourself and you're the one who's the driver of that seat, even though you may have a small team, like my wife works with me. Okay, I have another gentleman that works for me in the Philippines. I have another one in Portugal. I've got numerous team members that are a part of that, right? Well, the success comes from, to me, it's adding the value to the world in whatever way, shape, or form it is for you. I don't care if it's verbally or through material or through reading material, whatever it is, like you're doing with this podcast, Justin. And then being able to reap the reward, like I said, do what you want, when you want, and how you want, and being able to afford it.
So true, man. And that's exactly how, I define it as well. But the crazy thing is we all define it so differently, right? Yeah. And I think that that's the beauty of this life that we live in this country, and, the ability that we can truly live the life that we want. It's when you're miserable and you're accepting of that is the biggest thing for sure. Like that bothers me when I hear that from people where they're not happy every day. Every day at the end of the day, they're complaining. Like, you have a choice.
Right.
Right. And you're the perfect example of that.
And you're in America. Yeah. Gosh, imagine going to some of these other countries. It's like, I don't understand. Wake up, go live over there for a little while and just see the opportunity of what you have. Right. And you know what? I think this is awesome. Recently I saw a program on the lunar landing when basically the guys landed on the moon and they took the first photo. Okay. And the first photo was black and white. And the guy said to him, I'll quote their names wrong. So the guy said to the other guy, he says, don't you have the color reel or the color camera? And so then they took a picture of Earth from the moon, okay, with a color camera. And that photo became iconic because it was the first time that the planet had ever been seen by humans away from our own planet, okay? So now here's the Earth in the distance, and you're sitting on this ashy-looking surface of the moon. And they take this photo, and what do I get out of that? I look at that photo, and I go, that is the beauty. And they even said it. They go, that is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. We live on that planet, and then you dial that in, and we live on the planet in America, which is the land of the free. Freedom, I said freedom, the land of the free. Literally, you're on that planet, living in the best country on that planet. You already won the lottery. You already won the lottery. All you have to do is activate freaking kill mode and go get it.
That's it.
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
I love it. So what are 3 things you do every single day to ensure that type of success for yourself?
Okay. So One, if my alarm clock ever goes off, which most of the time it doesn't, all right, I'm up and that drive starts to burn. Okay. It starts to burn immediately. The minute that I wake up to the minute that I go to sleep, that drive is in drive. Okay. It is go time. Now, granted, if I'm on vacation, that's different. If I'm hanging out with the kids, that's different. But I'm saying when it comes to business and it comes to, making leaps and bounds, you have to be in full drive, ready to go every single day. You can't be, you can't sucking down 5-hour energy drinks. You can't be doing all these things that are going to dampen your life. You literally have to have it burn inside you. So what is that going to be? Well, we talk about passion. Passion literally has to be, I know everybody beats that horse, but it's the truth. If you don't love it and that drive is not burning, put it this way. If you're waking up right now and your drive is not burning to crush the day for what it is that you're doing as a career, 100% you're in the wrong career. 100%. Stop doing what you're doing right now and go find what it is. Because I'm going to tell you straight up right now, literally, if it's not burning like that, you're not in your passion. All right. So the drive with the passion has to be there. Okay. Second would be, let me dig deep here. What was the question again? Three things
you do to ensure your success every single day.
Okay. So drive is 100% with the passion. 2 would be to constantly in your mind be thinking about plan B and plan C. So I would say that if you have a plan and that's your plan, that's great. But guess what? Almost all the time, that plan is not going to go as planned.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you going to do when that plan does not work out? And I'm going to give a prime example on an easy note. One day I had wicker furniture in the backyard. I had my son with me. I asked him to help me load it in the truck. Now, granted, this wicker furniture is old. All right. I didn't need it anymore, but it's still usable and someone could throw cushions on it. So I didn't want to just throw it away. I decided to do more work and try to get it to a family of someone who could use it by go giving it to Goodwill. So we're in the truck, we're strapped down, it's flying in the wind, we're on our way, and my son goes, "Dad, what are we going to do if they don't take it?" Because sometimes they don't take certain things, right? And I said, "That's a great question, son." I said, "You need to always have a plan B, and then you need to have a plan C. In some cases, you need to have a plan D. Okay. But A, B, and C, you need to have those plans at all times." I said, "I already have those in my head." He said, "What are we going to do?" I said, "Well, next is going to be we're going to your grandma's house because I think she could probably use this, but she doesn't really need more junk on her lawn. So I'm trying not to do that." Right. I said, so I have a plan for a plan for a plan. That goes for everything in life. I don't care what it is. It's not going to work out every single time on plan A. So have a plan B and have a plan C. And then I promise you're going to go where you want to go and be more successful at whatever it is. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's a recital, homecoming for your daughter. If it's whatever it is, a birthday party, you're going to crush it because you're ready for plan B and plan C all the time. And so that would be number 2. 3 things. Okay. And number 3 would have to be my relationships. Actually, you know what? I'm going to state this. If I could go back and change anything, what would it be? I would have been smarter choosing friends. And so number 3 would definitely be my relationships. And those relationships are guarded sacred. They're like a marriage. They are everything as a driver of what creates your success because you are what you hang around, period. Don't let anybody tell you different. 100% you are what you hang around. And right now you have to say to yourself, what am I hanging around? And if it's anything that you know that is really not acceptable, or you've actually talked yourself into believing that it's acceptable, you need to do a self-check, or you need to have someone help you do the self-check. So those relationships have changed my life. Literally, it doesn't mean I don't love some of those people that I were around my younger age. And that's going back. I mean, I'm turning 47. That's going back to when I was 35, 34. Okay. I was not around the people I am today. And The Lord has blessed me with these people coming into my path. It was my duty and it was my job to make sure that I add enough value to their lives where they want to be a part of mine.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the shift?
And so that's it. Honest to God, it was, I'm not, and here's the beauty about that. When you're doing great things, you just attract greater people. When you're doing horrible things, you're going to attract horrible people. So it's a matter of what you put out is what you're going to get. And Justin, I'm sure you are the same way I am, man. If I don't feel the great energy, like you're talking about, like you felt from me, if I don't feel that, or I don't feel like, you don't need to be me, but I'm saying you're not talking about me. You're talking about us, or how can I help? And those type of people, they just attract more greater people. And then eventually those greater people like to conjugate around greater people. And the greater that you become, and the more that you feel like you're adding value, you just tend to want to hang around more people like that. And I say that because I even have challenges in my own family where there are people where I just choose not to be around that are my own blood, because I don't want to be drained. They call them vampires, right? I don't want to be drained from it. So the relationships are so important because your network is your net worth. And if you're hanging around people that are millionaires and they're happy, not millionaires that are miserable, but millionaires that are happy and they're doing great things, you're going to know it. And if you can add value to their lives, I promise you it will rub off on you. And before you know it, you become one of them. And that is a huge one. So I would say those three are my definite top three that I think could just literally I know it could change someone's life.
Without a doubt. I mean, so powerful and so much to learn in all of that stuff, which I absolutely love, man. And so as our time is coming to an end, I do wrap up every single episode with one specific question. But before I get there, how do people find you, man? How do they connect with you? How do they learn more about you? And what's all the good stuff?
All right, awesome. So if you want to connect with me, best place would be Instagram, today's day and age. Just at Kill Mode Dan Long. So KILLMODE Dan Long. Just hit me up there, DM me. If this resonated with you, please share. I would love to hear feedback from people. Maybe I lit a spark somehow that someone else wasn't able to achieve. And maybe you've heard this 20 times and finally the 21st time, now something clicked for you. You know what? Please reach out to me at Kill Mode Dan Long on Instagram.
Guys, this guy's energy is infectious. I highly, highly recommend you connecting with him. Also, check out his podcast with Joel, Born to Impact. I had the honor of being on it. And then, it's funny. I've actually I've been on like 4 other podcasts because people heard me on your show, which is cool. And then actually Anthony Trucks and I connected and we've swapped shows and did all that stuff too, man. Like you're changing the world.
Thank you, brother.
With that show and your messaging, man. And I absolutely love it, man.
Yep. That's the part about happiness too, guys. You need to be fulfilled. We do that for $0 to give back. So please listen to it. Born to Impact, amazing podcast, just like yours, Justin. I mean, you're one of the trendsetters, bro. You're the trailblazer. We're just behind you. we're behind you trying to catch up to your flames because you're in kill mode with this podcast, which is so awesome. And I'm so proud of you, man, for doing what you're doing, especially at such a young age.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate that, man. And like I said, obviously talking about this podcast, it is called the Growth Now Movement. So I wrap up every single episode with this one question. That is, Dan, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
In my life, biggest moment of growth. Personally or?
Yeah, either. Whatever resonates.
Personally, I would say my biggest moment of growth was probably at my worst time in my life. And that's would have been when everything around me crumbled. And literally I had nothing, no dollars. I had no relationship. I didn't have my kids. I didn't have anything. I was the most vulnerable ever. I was literally sitting there wondering what I was going to do. And so the biggest moment of growth for me, and it was my wife now, her and I had past relationships where, we didn't trust each other, and it wasn't because we didn't love each other. It was because we had to go through some trying times to learn what it's really all about. And so I would say my growth came the day that her and I decided to go to a church. And it's been 20 years since I had stepped foot in the church. And I believe in God, but I wasn't living the word. And what I should have been wasn't about me. And so my biggest moment of growth was when I did that, because that church opened up and I met a gentleman today, is one of my really good friends, is my priest, and he's my age, and he literally changed my life. And so may it be through God, may it be through him, may it be through every one of them. All I know is a huge part of growth became when I knew it wasn't all about me. It was about what I needed to do to help everything around me as much as possible. And he was able to show me the light. So that day would have been right around 9 years ago.
Wow. So, I love it, man. Dan, thank you so much, dude, honestly, for coming on and inspiring my audience and sharing your story. And not only that, dude, but like I was saying earlier, like, you are truly impacting the world. You've been doing it for so long. And I'm just excited to have you in my circle, and just so grateful for you, man. Thank you.
Same feeling here, man. You know what? Same feelings here. You know what, Justin, you're doing the same thing. And I truly appreciate you. I truly appreciate you helping all the people around the world. And I'm sure you're in tons of countries. So everyone who's listening, you know what? Keep listening to Justin. Please listen to Born to Impact. Justin, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for allowing me to share some of my love and my passion, which is the people who are listening right now.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Growth Now movement. This is how you can really help me out. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And let's grow this movement to epic heights. And it's all going to be because of you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.